yeah, this question definitely made me think, and a lot of these questions made me think. So thank you for this opportunity, and I hope
Absolutely.
I hope my answers were at least entertaining or interesting. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Alrighty, and we're back. Today I have Shane back again with me, and he brought along his friend Vanessa, and we were gonna maybe catch her up to speed on the conversation that we had the other day. Shane, why don't you introduce your friend?
Yeah, so Vanessa is somebody I met in a similar way to.
That's much better, I think.
Uh,
Try
okay,
again.
well, thankfully, yeah.
Now
So
I
I
hear
met
you.
Vanessa through real life, through our common interests, some common interests on YouTube, and I'm very excited that Nathan has agreed to catch Vanessa up by going through the same survey Justin and I went through last week. So, God willing, there might be a little time for a chat afterwards, but I'm excited to hear Vanessa go through the survey and establish, a little bit of her baseline about how she approaches some of the questions to do with epistemology and evidence. So without further ado, I'll just throw it back to you, Nathan and Vanessa, and look forward to hearing how you guys go through the survey.
Thank you, Shane. Appreciate that. And then maybe in a couple of days or next week, we can all meet up again. And I'm looking forward to talking to Justin again, too. All right, let's take a look at the survey then and go through it. Thank you, Vanessa, for filling this out before we started. And let's, I think actually one thing I wanted to do before we get into the survey is talk about confidence on the scale of confidence in the same kind of manner that we did with Shane and Justin the other day. And so before we started, I asked your consent to talk about a couple of issues like our confidence in a God or a soul, whether or not there's life on other planets, that sort of thing. And so in order to try to get a good understanding of where our confidence is at, I'd like to talk about a confidence scale. So like scales would be, 0 is all I have are questions that this is true. 100 is no question at all confidence. Like I absolutely know this is true.
Okay.
And then how we feel we would attribute a number to our scale of confidence about these things. And so the floor is yours on a higher power or a God and what you think that is and what number you'd give it. Does a God exist?
100%, definitely. I would say
100%.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a very, very grounded 100%. There's no abstraction about it. It's 100% in my mind. Yeah.
Okay. And let's see where to start. Let me get, I asked Shane the same question, so I guess I'll ask you too.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
What is your confidence on a scale between 0 and 100 that you and I are speaking together right now through video chat? On that same scale?
100%.
100%. Okay.
Yeah.
Is your confidence in a higher power the same as that? Like, is it just as confident as you are speaking to me right now? Or would you give it some other number? Is there any doubt in your mind, or is it no doubt at all?
No, there's no doubt. No doubt that.
Okay.
No, I would say because, I think that the experience that I have through my consciousness is real. And so if I'm experiencing this through this frame of consciousness, then it's real, just like my experience of God is through the frame of consciousness, right? So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then I suppose we can go to the next one. Does a soul exist? or do souls exist?
Yeah.
And what do you think you would attribute your confidence on the scale for that?
Yes. Okay, I would say yes, humans have souls, but this is where I would maybe hesitate, is that I'm not sure I really know what people mean when they say soul. Like I think that definition in my mind, like the word, what it means to people, I feel like that can kind of get watery and muddy along the way. And so it's like in my mind, what I think is a soul, it's like, yeah, of course I have a soul and you have a soul, but I don't know if we're on the same page about what that is or what most people think a soul is. So I don't know how to. I would say I'm confident, but then it's like there's a possibility of a misunderstanding or miscommunication when it comes to what a soul is.
Okay, and if there were a soul, what do you think is your best attempt to explain what that is? Do you, or maybe that's an unfair question. Do you think that you have a guess as to what it might be?
I want to say that our soul is linked to our ability to connect with God. You know, like I would say that our soul is kind of like that link. You know, it's what makes the link between us and God possible. It's like the link that we make human to human. You know what I mean? There's something there. So I don't know if that's like a very vague explanation, but that's.
So you see it more as a link or a connection between things, between beings?
It's something that you have, but it's like it's something that allows you. It's something that's almost like it's. Yeah, it's definitely something that you have, like something that you have in you. You know, like that's when I think of a soul, just off the top of my head, it's definitely something that, this has and this doesn't have, like within it. And to me, that it has to do with like your ability to connect.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, that it's hard to define.
Yeah. Maybe I have my own definition too. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, and that's fine. We're just airing out our ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun, interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then one question I asked of Shane also in the last interview was, is this thing a material in some way, or is it in any way material?
The
Like,
soul?
yeah.
I want to, like, my first instinct is to say yes, but maybe I'm not sure. My first instinct is to say yes, but let's just say I don't really. I'm not sure. I don't base whether or not something is material or not. Like I don't think that is like I don't think that really means much to me. So maybe I don't contemplate it. I don't have an answer because I don't really think it's that meaningful.
Okay. And last question on this issue: how confident are you that this exists on a scale between 0 and 100? 0 is all I have are questions about it. 100 is all I have are answers and confidence.
This being a souls.
Yeah, that your confidence that souls exist.
I would say, again, I want to say 100, but it's like I also don't know if maybe my definition of what a soul is not, like, maybe I don't understand what people mean when they say soul, and so maybe what you think is a soul is not, I might disagree with what you think exists as a soul. So I'm gonna be muddy about that and say I'm not confident.
Not so confident. So maybe like somewhere under 50, or somewhere on the lower end of the spectrum, do you think?
No, somewhere on the higher end of the spectrum, because I still think that the fact that we can all kind of.
Just less than 100, then. Is that what you're saying?
I would say between 80 and 100.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so pretty confident that
Pretty
it's the case,
confident,
but
but it's
okay,
not 100%. Yeah.
gotcha. Another question I asked Shane and Justin the other week was, YouTube removed the video because of a content violation. You can catch the missing clip in my social media in the description below. Okay.
So,
All right.
I don't know. That's maybe that answers the question. I think it warrants at least like some kind of like serious investigation.
All right, that's fine enough. And then last one before we get to the survey, life on other planets. You're confident that there is life on other planets? Like, is there
No.
one fern? I think this is what Justin said. Is there one fern on one planet somewhere very far away?
No, there's only ferns on this beautiful blue and green earth. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, ooh, that's a very interesting. I just
Yeah,
went,
what
my
number
mind
would
just
you
went
give that?
I would give that a 99.
Okay, a 99.
Yeah.
You believe it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a very open-minded person, so a 99, that's pretty confident.
Alrighty. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the survey and see where we're at.
Okay.
Let's see, Reed, do you think we could pull up the survey? Thank you. Let's go to 19 really quick. And I think we are good on time. So, all right, 19. I often investigate beliefs that do not match my own. And you agree to this, it looks like.
Yeah.
But you're not all the
I
way.
mostly agree.
Mostly agree?
Well, I mostly agree. The only reason I wouldn't say I fully agree is because there's always a little bit of like I'm a pretty stubborn, like I think a lot of people have a little bit of stubbornness about them. So if you have any confidence in what you believe in, you're not gonna fully, like, let's say, jump off a cliff into someone else's ideas. You know what I mean? You're always gonna have a little bit of a reservation, you know?
Sure.
And so that kind of
Yeah.
stops you from having an honest like investigation in their belief, because you're always going to be in a place, or you have to be in a place. You can't just be nowhere unless you're investigating something that you've never really heard of, or you just have, which
Right.
is
You have some
I find it
background
very
knowledge
difficult.
that
Yeah.
you're working on. Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah. And the only reason I wouldn't say that I disagree, I mean, I almost want to say I disagree as well, because I feel like it wouldn't be very honest to me to say that I fully, like, make that effort to investigate a belief. Like, it's more just like if I mostly just think about their perspective. You know what I mean? I don't know if I like go and like investigate.
Okay.
Like, I thought the word investigate was quite strong. So.
Okay, sure. Would you consider it important to investigate beliefs that when do you think it is best to investigate beliefs that do not match your own? When's the best time for that?
When you feel challenged, maybe is at least a good time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, at least when you feel challenged. I mean,
right.
I think you should do it all the time, really, because, I mean, how do you really formulate ideas anyway? You know what I mean? You kind of have to
Awesome.
start somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love investigating beliefs that do not match my own. I find it fascinating. So yeah, this is fun. All right, number 20. I am comfortable with saying I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And do you agree to that? Okay.
Very much, yeah.
So if we don't know something, it's best to say we don't know when we don't know, sounds like?
Yeah. I mean, there's no point in trying to force like a certain, it's like, so I also just think that mysteries are okay. Like there are a lot of mysteries that we don't need to have the answer to, and we may never, like, I think I'm okay with mysteries.
Where do you think on the scale of confidence, when we say if we don't know something on the scale of confidence, what range of numbers is that, do you think?
Sorry, say that one more time.
On the scale of confidence that we did earlier, like the 0 to 100,
mm-hmm.
Where does I don't know exist on that same scale, do you think? If you don't know something, what numbers do you give it generally.
Oh, I see. If I don't know something, well, okay, there's a difference between knowing like a little bit about something. Like I think you can know a little bit. You don't have to know completely. You know, so that's where the scale comes in, right? So if you know completely,
Yeah.
you're at 100%. But if you know absolutely nothing, then you're at 0. But if you know a little bit enough to have an opinion at all, that's when you get in between, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know, like this is something I have no clue, I have no place to talk about. It would be at 0. You know?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to move on to the next one. Do you have any questions for me about that last one?
Yeah. What's your answer to that? Because now,
Yeah,
I haven't thought of. That's an interesting question. It's a strange question.
you mean my answer to the question on the survey, or my answer to the numbers?
No, your answer to like where does I don't know belong on the scale of the confidence level?
Well, I would say that 0 would be all questions, and I think if I don't know, then all I have are questions. So if I don't know something, I'd give it a 0 on the scale.
Okay.
Yeah. Though if I knew that something wasn't the case, that might be a different scale because it'd be a different question altogether. So that's how I would think about that. Yeah. Any other questions on that before we move on to the next one?
No.
Okay. Number 22. Oh, wait, sorry. Number 21. Is beneficial to find out when I'm wrong about something? And you agree? So if any one of these following statements on the survey, if you decide you want to change your answers, would you find it beneficial to discover it's better to be in a different place on the survey for yourself?
Yeah. Wait, sorry. Wait. Say that again.
Sorry, that was probably a
benefit-
doubled up question.
Yeah, so I mean, are you asking me the same question?
It's essentially the same question, but essentially, does it apply to the survey as well? Like, if
Right.
you found there was a
Sure.
better place
Yeah,
to be on the
definitely.
survey, would you find it beneficial
Oh.
to discover that?
Yeah, I'd want to, of course, yes, I would find it beneficial because, I mean, anybody who's interested in like, I mean, the only person who would not find it beneficial is if someone who wasn't interested in having their mind changed. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Or
know.
somebody who would rather not be persuaded for the sake of staying where they are. Yeah. I hear you.
I think of course it's beneficial, and it's unless you're someone who like is totally disinterested in, but that doesn't make any sense because why would it's unfathomable to me, like why you would be why that wouldn't be beneficial, why you wouldn't want somebody to correct you, but
I love the sentiment. Awesome. All right. Number 22. I will abandon a belief if I discover reliable information that falsifies it. And you have slightly agree. Is there some hesitancy, or what do you think about this one?
You know what came to mind when I read reliable information that falsifies it? Maybe I have a little bit of I do believe in intuition, you know, and sometimes intuition is not something that's like scientific. It's not like something you can put into an experiment sometimes. And so for the most part, I would agree that if something was presented to me that was against something that like challenge something that I believed in, I would give it the time and give it the, you know what I mean? But also, I also have a trust in my intuition. And so that's where that hesitancy would come from. And I think we all do.
So
I think everybody does.
This is going to be so let me ask a question about intuition and combine that with the previous one. If it's beneficial to find out if we're wrong. If you were to find to your own satisfaction, and so this isn't anyone else's standard, this is your standard, that something about your intuition was proven wrong, would that be, in other words, if you found reliable information that proved an intuition wrong, would you abandon the belief that your intuition helped you to conclude?
Would I abandon the intuition altogether, or would I just abandon the, like,
that is a good question. Yeah, maybe there's two questions there. What do you think?
Okay. Well, you know, I think you have to give your intuition a little bit of like give, you know. I would say your intuition has, I feel like also your intuition is something that develops, you know. You're not like you're not born like this intuitive, like 100% like, you know. So I think there's room for your intuition to be wrong and to be corrected and to kind of learn, to be learned, to be developed. So let's I don't know, does that answer the question a little?
Yeah, I think it might. Let me switch to one last question on this one, then we can move on to the next. If you found real
Oh, hold on. You're cut out for a second.
to your satisfaction.
Sorry,
Sorry
repeat
about
it
that.
one more time. Yes.
Am I back? Sure. If you found reliable information to your satisfaction that one of your beliefs weren't true, would you find it beneficial to change your mind about it?
Yeah.
Basically combining the last one and 21 and 22.
Yes,
do you think 21 and 22 are related?
I didn't when I was reading the question, I didn't think they were related, but now that you put them together, I can see that they're related. Yeah.
Okay. And how about this? What's the best example of your intuition being useful in the past? Like, what do you think is your best example of that?
A specific example. What's my best example of my intuition being useful? Oh, that's hard.
If you feel too on the spot too, you don't need to come up with anything necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, can I come back to that? I don't know.
Sure.
Because I feel like my intuition is something that it's just it's just a daily thing. I don't really like write down every time that like, oh, I was right, you know.
Okay.
I would say, my intuition is useful in the sense that I'm happy with a lot of decisions that I've made in my life. You know, like this, any good decision that I've made in my life that I can feel proud about, like where I live or my partner or, you know, whatever it is, like I give credit to my intuition. So I would say any good thing going in my life is an example of my intuition helping me out in that process. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, 23. The more unusual the statement, the stronger the evidence needs to be. And it looks like you agree to that as well. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, I hesitated because I hesitated between being fully agreeing, but I can explain why.
Please do.
I would say the stronger the evidence needs to be. I don't even think I make that decision in my mind. I feel like we just do that. You know, if somebody says something that is unusual to us, like absurd, like our initial reaction is like, whoa, like we're over here and you're over there. And so you better make a good point for me to like meet you halfway. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's not like, I feel like that really is a human reaction. You know, when we hear something unusual, like, oh, this, if you said that the sky was some absurd color, that's an unusual statement, right? So I'd be like, well, you know, I don't know. Yeah, that's.
So you'd need stronger evidence for more unusual claims. Sounds like we agree on
for me to even like stop laughing at you or something. You know what I mean? Like there's a barrier there for when something's unusual. There's an initial barrier, I think, to jump. You know, if something's like a little bit, oh, maybe I've heard of that, or like, oh, I'm not really certain. But when something's unusual to you already, there's a little bit of a jump that needs to be made initially. And
Would
so
you consider
strong evidence is, yeah.
would you consider claims which are hard to define or describe what they are to be unusual claims?
Claims that are hard to define? No, because
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily make them unusual, because I mean,
Or if we struggle to
no, like the
define
soul
what they are?
question,
No? Yeah.
for example. No, that's not unusual, because there's nothing unusual about contemplating a soul, you know, like we've all done that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any questions on this one before we go to the next one?
No, I don't think so. No.
24. It is possible that some of my beliefs are not true. And I agree completely for myself as well. Yeah, that it's very possible. All right. So we can go to number 1. Let's go ahead and scroll to the top. All right. So defining truth, essentially, number 1 is trying to figure out and establish what is truth. And it looks like that you agree that a statement is true when it corresponds to reality. It looks like maybe you switched your answer, or maybe you were just testing it out. Initially, it was like slightly agree, but sounds like you agree now. Do you have a better? What are your thoughts on this one, or do you have any thoughts about what the truth means to us?
Well, I just see that we look at. I'm just thinking about how we see like what reality is, you know. And so for me, that's just what true is, you know. Like truth reveals itself necessarily. You know. So
yeah. So a statement is true when it corresponds to reality. So
a statement is true
is an
when
example.
It corresponds to reality. Yeah, I feel like yes, I agree.
Okay. And so and in this way, this is what why we agreed to number 24, the very last one, is because it's possible that some of our beliefs may not be true, and that's what's making us say agree to number 1. It seems like we could be wrong, right? We just
yeah.
Okay. Number 2, we all share the same reality and only interpret it differently. And we both agree.
Yeah, I strongly agree. I strongly agree with the first half of that. That we all share the same reality and only interpret it differently. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, we all have the same mechanisms of interpreting things. And so it's not like, I mean, I want to say it's not like you were given different tools than I was. You know what I mean? And so it's like we all share the same reality in the sense that maybe we don't live the same life, but we would both, let's say, look at the same painting or something, and if it was a beautiful painting, it would be beautiful in your reality and in my reality, something along those lines. And only interpreted, I don't know why I have a hard, maybe I can't articulate why I have a hard time with only interpreted differently, but I definitely agree with the first half of that. We all share the same reality.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's go to number 3. Truth depends on the opinions and beliefs of people. And looks like you did strongly agree, but then changed it to slightly agree. What made you hesitant?
Yeah.
Or maybe you do strongly disagree now.
Okay. Truth depends on the opinions and beliefs of people. For the most part, I strongly agree with that. The only way I would maybe slightly hesitate is
Wait, do you slightly agree or disagree?
No, I mean, I'm like, I strongly agree, but maybe there is like a little ounce of, oh wait, truth depends on, yeah, no, I disagree with that. Truth depends. I think I'm going to stick with I strongly agree, because I don't think I can really, I'm not sure how much give I can give that if I wanted to agree with it in any way.
What do you think it means? Number 3. If somebody were to tell us that the truth depends on the opinions and beliefs of people, what do you think they mean by that?
I think that basically means that we live in different planes of reality depending on our experience or something, you know? And so like you could, and so it's like, if somebody can say that, oh, well, this is true, and someone else can say that something else is true and that's not true, then that means that like, the only possible answer to that is like they just live in like another reality and they have another truth or something like that. And I disagree with that.
Right.
So
that might make things hard to resolve if there's 2 simultaneous truths which are opposite one another.
No, yeah, it's like, well, it just wouldn't happen.
Right. Especially if we agree to number 2,
if something's true,
right?
Because
yeah, number 2 is about the external world and our place within it, right? So like if we're all sharing the same reality, can somebody have another truth?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. No.
Okay. Alrighty. Number 4, people create words and define their meaning. What do you think about that? Looks like you slightly agree, but not all the way.
Agree. Yeah, the reason why I agree is because if you just look at history, there are words that, I mean, if you just look at language through time, changes, not like dramatically, but so I think just that alone tells you that, yeah, people, whether or not it's individuals or it's culture or what it is, words can change. People can put different meanings to different words, or we make up new words or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, great. Any reason not to strongly agree?
Yeah. I think because a part of me also thinks that once you give a word a meaning, it's hard to kind of take it away. You know? So there's a little bit of that. Like some words kind of have a bit of a.
So like there's the objectivity to some words?
Yeah. It's almost like you can't take it back. Yeah, a little bit. Like if you say that, you know, this, if this word is used in a certain, to mean a certain thing, and then you want to just like, let's say, change the meaning just like that, it's like you, I don't know if it's that easy to take back, if that makes sense. So that was my hesitation, is because people create words and define their meaning, but then there's something about the words themselves that they just kind of also exist. And you can't just say that it's like, oh, all of a sudden that, you know, that's not what
I'm hearing you.
I don't know.
I'm hearing you tell me that it's our agreement about words that's what matters when communicating. Is that right? Or am I mishearing you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so, because if we didn't agree on our definitions, like if I was talking to you in words that, no, then we would have totally a misunderstanding of each other. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Number 5, a statement is true if everyone agrees and you disagree. So everyone can agree to something, and that thing, it's possible that that thing is false, even if everyone agrees to it.
Yeah, no, that has nothing to do with whether or not something is true or not.
Alrighty, good. Yeah. Number 6, strong belief, even without action, can change external reality. So this one is a little interesting. Imagine somebody comes into our conversation and they say this to us. What do you think they mean when they say that? When they say strong belief, even without action, can change external reality, what do you think they imply?
Well, when I think about this question, I think of like people who, or like the idea that the mind can, like almost like if you, like the power of like, let's say, oh, if I'm just happy and like positive, then my world will be like happy and positive, you know? And so I feel like somebody who says that is kind of someone who just has a very strong belief in the power of the mind, you know? And so they're just trying to say like, oh, like just put out such and you will receive such and such, maybe something like that.
Okay. And do you think that, and why did you answer the way that you did? You answered slightly disagree.
Yeah. Let me see. Strong belief, even without action. I think because action is a really important thing. Like you have to embody something for it to, like you have to really bring something into reality for it to be in it. Like you have to almost like participate. You know, you have to embody, participate if you want something to
Okay.
be.
Yeah, I hear that. Like you have to try to cause an effect to make an effect.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly.
So why the hesitancy? Why not fully disagree?
Why not? I mean, I guess I just thought of people who really live. I don't know. If my mind just went to people who are actually, like, for example, people who are depressed. You know, or when you're depressed and you're just like, you know, you see the world in a certain way, or you know, like people sometimes there's a way that your beliefs can shape your reality, right? Like that happens to people. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's what reality is, but sometimes our minds are so, like, let's say, taken over that it can
Yeah, your
mess
beliefs
with
could
what we
shape your
see.
reality. When you say your reality, do you mean our perception
Yeah,
or
yeah,
our
exactly.
attitudes? Maybe is that kind of
Yeah,
what
like
the way you're using those words?
your perception is perception is the right word. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So
So
like
like if I
if you have a framework, you know, if you have a certain framework, you can see reality whatever way you want through the, you know, whatever the framework tells you in a way, you
Mhm.
know.
So
So
if I tell
that's
myself
what that
like
was my, yeah.
so if I say I'm going to get the job and I have that kind of attitude, then that might improve my chances if I'm confident and self-aware and I believe I can do it. It might give me the motivation and energy to achieve
Yes,
my
but
goals. Is that what you're
it's,
saying?
yeah, but I mean, when you believe that, it manifests itself through action. You don't just believe it and,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you really
Yeah.
believes itself, you would act it out. And so the part that even without action is where I just, yeah, no.
Gotcha.
So
Cool.
yeah,
Oh,
anyway, I won't
love
drag
to
the
flesh this
question
out
further. Yeah.
further once we get a chance to talk with Shane and Justin. Yeah, I like what you had to say there. Number 7, some beliefs should never be questioned. This is under how does belief work? Do you think some beliefs should never be questioned? Looks like you disagree.
No,
So your
no.
answer is no. All right. Number 8, someone can be certain something is true, yet still be mistaken. And you agree.
Of course.
Though just
Okay.
before we move on from this one, uh, does this account for personal experiences as well? Can someone be certain about a personal experience um, and believe that it's true and yet still be mistaken?
Yes, because yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Cool.
yeah. I'm
Did
just
you
trying
have
to
any
think of
questions
like,
on?
I'm in my head. I'm just like, oh, like somebody imagines that they see a ghost, but then I'm like, do I believe in
That's a great
ghosts?
example. Yeah.
You know, I would say, yeah, my instinct is no, but I mean, maybe there's room to explore there. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And then can someone be certain their intuition is telling them something and still be mistaken on their intuition?
Oh, like be mistake, like not that their intuition is wrong, but be wrong about what they think their intuition is. Sorry, say that one more time.
If somebody
here's the question.
attributes, yeah, if
Can someone be
there,
certain
if
their intuition is telling them something? That's a weird question. Someone be certain their intuition is telling them something. Yeah, I think someone can be certain that they think that, like you can say, well, I really think that this is true, and you can really believe that this is coming from like an intuition that you have. But can you be mistaken about that? Yeah, I think you can. Because I think knowing what is intuition and what is, I think intuition's hard. Like maybe I don't even understand how intuition works. Like I don't think I've fully, I use it, but maybe I shouldn't be using it because maybe I don't understand it that well. But yeah, I think you could be mistaken. Yes, I think you can be mistaken. Yep.
I think
About
it's safe
what
to
you
use for
think your
some things like
intuition is.
Pepsi versus Coke. Like I'll definitely use my intuition for that. All right, cool. Let's take a look here. Where are we now? We're on number 9. A test that cannot identify a failure is a valid test. And I remember before we aired, you mentioned that was something that you strongly disagreed with, it sounded like.
Yeah, because I mean, when I just think about the point of a test, like the test is supposed to, it's like a test is almost like a very black and white thing. It's just meant to determine, like I'm gonna plug this into the wall to see if the light bulb works or something, or to see if it works or something, and it's like, so yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Looks like we understand each other. Number 10. If all members of a society share a belief, they are justified to hold that belief. And you disagree? Why the hesitancy, though, on this one? If all members of a society share a belief, does that justify them to believe it?
I guess I'm just thinking a little bit of like there is a little bit. I guess my mind just went straight to like children, Like sometimes if a child believes something because their family taught them something, it's not the child's fault if he's wrong. You know what I mean? It's something that you kind of have to. And so I'm just thinking of like sometimes societies can be. So I don't know
You'd
if
be
that was
forgiving
really
of
the
somebody
right.
who was raised a certain way.
Yeah, I think so. Like if I don't know, I think there's some leniency there to be given. Like
Okay.
if
Maybe I'll ask this
somebody
a different
really.
way.
Sure.
If you for a belief
Start
that
one
you're
more
holding,
time.
that one of
I lost you in the beginning there.
Sure. Okay. If you were, so remember that scale of confidence that we were doing earlier, 0 to 100? If you discovered that one of the things that we were using to bump ourselves up was that the people around us believed it, would that be something that you would find acceptable? Would you find it acceptable to use it as a reason to boost confidence?
I feel like I would. I feel like we do it naturally. We do it. Whether
The question
or not it's
is it
acceptable.
justified? Is it a good reason?
Is it justifiable?
Yeah.
I want to say there is a little bit of yes, because I don't know. I feel like because I feel like it's very a human nature thing, like we trust each other, like almost naturally, like organically. And so it's almost like if you'd have to really not trust the people around you to completely question everything. You know what I mean? And I don't know a lot of people who live like that. So actually maybe I would move that little check mark a little bit, after I would have to move it a little bit more to the middle, because it's really hard to disagree with everybody around you if you trust them. You know what I mean?
Okay. If you trust them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Huh. Let
So
me
I don't
think.
know. I don't know where I don't know. I really have to think about that, I think.
So are you saying if you don't know something that you're more trusting of the popular opinion?
If I don't know, not necessarily, no. If I don't know about something, well, I wouldn't have any basis of like if I didn't know about something, like if I was at zero for my knowledge of something, then anybody else's knowledge, even the slightest, would be better than mine, right? So if I knew nothing and all I had was like a common perception, then I'd have to start with the common perception of it, right? And then go from there. Like
Right.
I maybe, uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And could
for me to have something to question, right? It's like for me to have something to question, I would need to start somewhere.
okay. Huh. All right. Well, maybe we can come
I don't
back
know
to
if
this
that
one
answers
later.
the question. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
that's an interesting response. Number 11. Believing something that is false feels just like believing something that is true.
Yeah, yeah. I think so. The reason why I think that um, people, because when let's just say somebody lies to you, or somebody um, let's just say something that you thought was true turns out not to be true, or something like that, like it, I think your response is
Yeah.
very,
Did it feel
very
the same
emotional. Yeah, it's hurtful, right? Like
before?
you're physically hurt, when something, when you thought
Mm,
something was true and all of a sudden it's not true. I think just the fact that we are so that totally, like if it's bad enough, people's whole perception of reality can change, you know like if somebody is lied to badly
right.
enough, like that person's
Yeah.
whole perception of reality can change. And so for me, that's tells me that believing something, even if it's false, feels just like believing something that is true. So that's maybe more of like a
That's
psychology
so well
answer or something.
said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've certainly had my mind changed on quite a few things. And when that happened, I looked at my past self and was like, wow, that I really did
Yeah,
believe that. Like, I completely believed
yeah,
that. And
yeah.
to have that feeling changed now, I feel just as confident as I used to feel when I was
Right.
wrong, technically, quote unquote. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Number
I
12.
think we've all experienced that. Yeah, to certain
Feelings
degrees.
are a reliable way to discover truth. Um,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you
Mostly.
agree? Okay.
I mostly agree. Mostly agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Explain to me first before you explain why you agree. Explain to me why you didn't strongly agree.
I didn't strongly agree because I also realize that feelings are something that, uh, you know, people can really, let's say, be wrong about. you know, so some like
Hmm.
people can feel things and the feeling is real, but sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't reflect reality. Sometimes, and sometimes it does. Most of the time, I think, I hope it does. But
Okay.
it's
Sure.
so in that sense,
So it's possible
yeah,
sometimes for our feelings to not give us a correct assessment about the matter of fact of things, or what is the
yeah,
case. May not be able
yes,
We may not be able to determine what is the case using our feelings. So can you give me the best example of a time in which you use feelings to reliably know something?
um, yeah, I mean, last time I used feelings to reliably know something, um, an example. I'm bad at examples. Um,
And if it's too on the spot, you can either ask me a question about it, or you can Yeah.
Well, I'm still thinking about the question actually. Feelings are
Yeah.
a reliable way to discover the truth. Uh, oh. I'm,
That's fine. Take your time.
when I think of when I'm trying to think of an example of like today, but I don't know if it's a feeling or if it was just or if I actually just used my mind. You know what I mean? Maybe I have a hard time actually separating what is like when am I only using feeling and when am I kind of combining it with like a past experience or something like that to know something.
Ooh. Yeah. Like mixing
You
a
know what
bit
I
of
mean?
background knowledge
It's
in with your feeling.
yeah. So I mean, if it's just like raw feelings, I feel like I don't know if I'm like if I when's the last time I experienced only raw feelings towards something and I didn't use my intellect to make a judgment? Like I'd have to think about it, really.
That's fine. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah,
I like your thought process. I can tell that you kind of think like I do. And I love how you took your time with that. That's
it's a
cool. Yeah.
tricky question.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
Okay. Let's see here. Where were we? Oh, number 12. Oh no, 13. Believing something without evidence is admirable. And you're neutral on that.
Neutral
Um, yeah.
because believing something with evidence is not admirable either, you know? So it's
Come
like
again?
I don't really because I don't think belief in general and admiration like go on the same like I'm not sure that word admirable even belongs in the question, you know what I mean? So that's why I felt kind of
Hmm.
in between.
What would
Um
be if we were to say believing something without evidence is acceptable to me? How would you answer that?
um if believing something is acceptable,
Yeah,
uh
for me. Maybe for me is more grammatically correct.
I mean, I don't know. What do you why do you believe in that thing? You know, if it's not based on evidence, I would ask you like what it's based on. You know,
Hmm.
it would be more of a curiosity rather than like a oh like that's admirable. You know what I mean? But it also isn't like oh like shame on you. You know what I mean? It was just like oh like what. I don't know that I have a does that answer why I have a hard time with that question? It's a
It kind of does. Like, would you, if you, how about this? Let's rephrase it. If you were to thoroughly examine one of your views and you discovered that it didn't have evidence, would you uh, abandon the belief? Would you let it go? Would you allow the number to drop to zero, your I don't know, or whatever I don't know zone? Would you
yeah
allow that to
yeah
happen? Okay.
yes yeah I don't know if I would let it go all the way to zero because again I also think that we have like if we believe something there's always a reason to believe in it whether or not that's
Mm,
like some kind of you know so I don't think that we believe our beliefs are totally like we don't have a reason whether like personal or not so I would say I would let it like let's say go to the question of I don't know like oh actually I believe this but I don't actually know if it's true I'd be comfortable going that route I have no
that's
proof of
great.
this that's it you know yeah
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Number 14. Without an explanation for something, any answer is better than no answer. And you disagree with that. You want to tell me why you disagree with it?
well I just think that there's like why is there so much anxiety over not having an answer to something that you have to like be okay like you know there's we can't leave this box or whatever unopened like or you know this stone unturned I'm okay with like I said I think I don't know if I said this but I'm okay with mystery you know I don't think that we need to kind of force an answer into something just to say that we covered it.
Yeah. I'm hearing you say it's better to claim ignorance about something and say, I
Yeah.
don't know, than it is to run the risk of being positively mistaken about something.
I mean,
You
I
would
don't think
rather
there's
take,
anything wrong with. There's nothing wrong with theorizing. It's like if you want
oh,
to
for
tackle
sure.
a
Yeah, yeah.
question, if you want to tackle a
Like coming up with a
question,
hypothesis for an explanation is perfectly
yeah,
fine.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
for sure. Hmm.
Okay,
But
cool. All right. Any questions on that before we move on?
no, I don't think so.
All right. Number 15 is it is okay to accept something as true because it is comforting. And we disagree with that one too. I also disagree. Did you have any questions on this, or do you want to explain why you answered the way you did?
Something is true because it is comforting. Um, no, I think. I mean, it's basically just like,
You don't think
that's like some kind
comforting?
of phobia of discomfort or something. It's like, well, you have to be. You can't
Ah,
just be comfortable all the time. So.
you would rather be uncomfortable with not knowing than comfortable thinking that you do about something
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
without really knowing that you do.
Yeah, for sure. Because
Okay.
that's just not true. You know what I mean? That you wouldn't be living in reality if that was the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you did that. So, yeah.
Okay. Number 16. I give all claims the benefit of the doubt when I first encounter them.
Yeah, I would say that I would say I'm a very open-minded person, and so I tend to approach things with like I mean, I have my principles and I have like, okay, I believe this and I believe that, but I'm also just open to hear any challenges like at all times. Um, so that's why I'm in between. It's like I will listen to your argument, or I'm interested at least to hear what you have to say. I'm at least interested. I'll hold my beliefs here, but like I'll put them down here for a second so I can see you, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, earlier in the discussion when we started with the N first, it was 23, the more unusual the statement, the stronger the evidence needs to be, and you agreed to that. And is that why you're neutral to 16? Because some
Yeah.
claims don't deserve the benefit of the doubt and some claims do, it sounds like.
Yes. Let me see. 16, and then the other question was
23.
about kind of meeting them
The
halfway,
more
right?
unusual the statement.
The stronger the evidence needs to be. Yeah. Yeah, like that's definitely my strong response to that question is definitely where the disagree comes from in this question. Like it's you do have to make a pretty, like, you can't just say something that's well, I respond depending on how challenging your question really is. If I think your question is kind of like simple and I'm just like, oh, I've already covered that, I don't need to be challenged on it again, then I won't give you the benefit of your doubt of so I don't know.
How challenging something is.
Yeah, like if something's very like unusual in the sense that it's like totally like like almost impossible, like impossible based on what I know, like what I think I know, then you really have to kind of. But if it's, that's why I'm not fully agree on this question.
Okay.
I'm kind of in the middle of whether or not I give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it just depends, like I said, on how much they challenge or what the challenge is, or whether I find the challenge interesting,
Okay. All right. Number 17. Someone is justified in their beliefs until they're proven wrong. and I have you on as agree. Do you, if somebody says they believe in something, and yet there's no way to show them that they're wrong about it, are they justified because you can't prove them wrong?
I would say they are justified, not because I can't prove them wrong, but they're justified because that's like, they're justified more in what reasons they have to believe what they believe. You know what I mean? Because you can present evidence, but maybe your evidence doesn't knock off their reasoning completely. You know what I mean? Like you can maybe say, I don't know. There's something about maybe proven wrong. It's like, how do you? I think that's pretty hard to do. Like prove someone wrong completely. I think you'd have to take into account like every single reason, and so. Yeah, I don't know if that answered your question or not.
If somebody,
somebody's reasoning for their belief, I think has a bit of a leg up than what you may present as evidence on the contrary. It may be stronger, like that may be, I may have more, I don't know. There's
if a reason, if you think a reason cannot be shown not to be the case, it can only be shown to be the case, though there's no way to demonstrate or resolve whether or not it's not the case.
Yes, then they're mostly justified to have that belief. Yes, I would say so.
Would it be a true test of what they're believing, though? Or maybe, can you give me maybe an example of, or how about this? Can a person believe something that's false using this principle, using 17? Do you think? Do you think somebody could justify a false thing with 17?
Yeah, I see what you mean there. They kind of contradict. Well, it's a different question because this one is asking like if someone is justified, Whereas the other question is if kind of they're, well, what number was it? It was number 22, or no?
Are you talking about testing, or are you talking about?
The question that you said was related to this one. I think you said anyway.
16 and 23 are kind of related, and 17, which is the one that we're on, and number 9 are kind of related.
Yeah, maybe I'm not quite sure how to answer your question then. What stood out to me about this question is like justified. Whether or not their things were true or false, that'd be a question of whether they were challenged with it. You know what I mean? And they decided to ignore evidence or not,
Yeah, it's weird. This one's like kind of stands alone as being a little unique compared to the others. A lot of the other ones are like ways to go up or down the scale of confidence about some idea. And this one's kind of like weird because it's like calling into question when to doubt stuff, or I see it as being that. If somebody were high on a scale of confidence about something false, or maybe this can't happen, though I'm wondering, could somebody be high on their scale of confidence in something false on the grounds that you can't show them that their idea is not true? Like you could never show them something that would demonstrate to them that it's not the case. Though, if it's false, would we be able to ever show them that it's not the case if there's no way to do that?
Yeah, no, I guess no, I guess you couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you can't challenge them, then why would they have a reason to step down their confidence? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Do you think that somebody's reasons for believing in a thing are do you think if somebody believes in something based on reasons, that those reasons need to be able to identify what them being proven wrong or proven right? Like, do they need to have this quality of being shown
Um.
that it might not be the case?
I want to say no. Like, you don't need proof to believe in something. Like, you don't need complete proof to believe in something. So,
Or
that's
to
where
be
my
justified?
mind. Yeah, like that's where my mind kind of wants to go to answer that question. Is I mean, if you needed proof for every little thing, like I feel like your mind would really get stuck in so many places. Like your imagination would just be completely stifled everywhere you go. So I want to say no to that. That
Okay.
you don't need to prove your reasons in order to like have them.
All right. Any questions for me on this
Something
one
like
before
that.
we move on to the next one at all?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I am curious to know like where you stand on this position, because I mean, it sounds like you've thought about this one a lot, because you're well, you there's a lot of layers to this question, I feel. So
There
I mean,
are.
do
This
you think
one's
it's a
kind of tied
complicated
into a
question?
lot.
Yeah.
Well, so like, I don't feel like necessarily all my beliefs need to be able to be falsifiable. I think I can believe in some things that might not be, though I'm very cautious if my idea can't be proven wrong, only because I can understand what it would be like for someone else if they were in that situation. So like, is someone ever justified in a belief merely because they've yet to be proven wrong? That's what the comment that we have.
Well, okay. Here's a funny. Well, here I'll let you actually. If you're gonna continue, please.
I'm only thinking like if somebody can use 17 to be confident in a thing, would they be stuck believing in it forever because there's no way to show them that it's not the case?
I see.
Right. And so like I'm just cautious about being in that situation, being in a situation in which I can't imagine or come up with some identifiable thing that could show the idea is not there, for that reason. Yeah.
No, I can totally see
Good
why
question,
you'd
though.
want to be cautious about it. Yeah.
Number 18, this is the last one. The most important criteria for my beliefs is that they match reality. What do you think? You have slightly agree?
Yes. Let me think about this one. So the most important criteria, I would say yes, because, well, I mean, I just use reality to tell me, like it's almost like it's where you get your information from anyway. You know what I mean? So, the only reason I wouldn't go full agree is because, right, when I was thinking about this question much earlier today, my mind went somewhere kind of strange. But I was thinking about how sometimes reality takes you places, like your experience of life sometimes takes you to a question. Like, so sometimes even though like it's real life, like life is telling you, and feeding you like belief and things like that. Sometimes it's almost like your mind gets to somewhere before reality can show it to you or something like that. And so that's the only reason I wouldn't go full agree, is because sometimes reality.
So I'm hearing you say it's good to have imagination. Is that sort of what you're saying? Or it's good to be
Well,
imaginative?
it's not that it's good. It's just that reality provokes it in some ways. So it's
Reality
like
provokes
reality.
imagination?
Yeah, for sure. Like reality will lead. Like if you really wanted to like look at reality, it's gonna give you questions. You know what I mean? At the same time, it's gonna like put questions in your head sometimes. And so that's, yeah. I don't know if I'm articulating what I'm thinking very well, but
That's
it's,
okay. Maybe give this one some more thought, and the next time that we talk, because I know
yeah.
that Shane was interested in bringing you on board with the discussion that we were likely going to have on a different channel, and then everything got mixed up, and now we're doing
Yeah.
this. So I figured, hey, it was good to catch you up. And
Yes. Thanks for
number
having
18
me.
is really an interesting one, and probably one that is the most meta of all of this. How important is because I read number 18 as the most important criteria for my beliefs is that they are true. That's how I read it. So it's like, is the truth the most important thing concerning our beliefs, or is there some other thing that's more important? Maybe there is something that's more important than what's true. And if so, what would that be? And that could be a great discussion maybe for the next time that we meet. And
Yes, yeah, this question definitely made me think, and a lot of these questions made me think. So thank you for this opportunity, and I hope
absolutely.
I hope my answers were at least entertaining or interesting. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, good. Well, I'm not quite sure I'm ready to go just yet. I'm
Okay, sure.
curious if do you have like, well, I mean, maybe we could just meet up next week. Though, would you be all right if I borrowed like 5 to 10 more minutes of your time?
Definitely, yeah. Please, go ahead.
Okay. So let's revisit the scales of confidence again for those 4 claims that we started with. Which one was the first one? Was it a higher power? Was that our first one?
Yeah, that was the first question. Yes.
Does it God exist? Yeah. Okay. So if we had reasons that stacked us from 0, which is all questions, we've never even heard the idea before, and we stacked our reasons up in a row, what is the biggest reason that if I deprived it from you would drop that number to some lower number? And yeah, let's just start there.
Maybe I have a cliche answer to that, but I feel like the existence of truth is like the fact that there is a truth. You know, if you really went like full nihilist, which I think has no grounds, really. Like I don't think it has, and it's not a very strong argument. If you told me something along those lines where another cliche would be like beauty and love, you know? If you told me that those things were just totally not good, you know, or something, that then I would say those 3 things: love, beauty, truth. Those are the 3 things that really, really like solidify my belief in a higher power, as you say.
Okay. So are you saying that love would have to not exist and beauty would have to not exist? And it's the existence of these things that are giving me confidence that there is a higher power or a God?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Why are those things attributing your confidence to that? Is there
well, just because I think they're hard to explain. Like it's hard to explain why. Like I feel like they don't have any. I'm not sure what their utility is. You know, it's like I don't really know why is there love in the world? Like, what is the purpose of that? Things like truth, like why is like why do we have principles at all? It's just like, why is there this kind of thing that has to kind of gets to like a what's the word, like an ultimate thing, like how do we, like, why does that concept even exist, like an ultimate truth, like why, I don't know, everything just goes back to why, why is there love, why is there even good or evil, that kind of thing. Yeah.
How would we if this belief weren't true, how could we show it's not true? How would we go about, what could we learn or find out that would show it wasn't there or wasn't true?
Maybe if how can we
how could we work together to find out that it's not true if it's not? Like, if it weren't, what would be the first place we look?
I want to say we look at our own like behavior with each other, so I would look at the way that we treat each other, look at the way that we interact as people, as human beings, as a basis. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have so many more questions, and I feel like this is pretty much right where I hope to have treated you exactly the way I treated Shane and Justin, which is hopefully cordially with questions. And now you're all caught up to speed. I think that's about where we left off, was hanging with that question at the end and talking about 17 and a couple of these other things. So if Shane's there, maybe we can pop on briefly and say hello. And Shane said he wanted to say something at the end. By the way, Shane, I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much for the awesome discussion like 3 weeks ago, because I felt like we covered a lot of ground, and it was a three-hour talk, and it was a lot of fun. And I felt that you were very sincere, and I just wanted to thank you for a good talk a couple weeks ago.
Well, likewise. I have 2 or 3 things I'm not going to bring up now, but I re-listened to it. There was one time where I could have been clearer in responding to exactly what you were saying, and I kind of just stuck to my own
there's
language.
Yeah.
Well,
that's why we record them.
Beyond that, I think I did pretty good. I think I did pretty good at actually responding to what was being said. I think today too, I think covered a lot of the same ground with Vanessa. I do think that if we had inserted some of the other definitions of some words at certain points, or followed up with slightly different questions, might have changed Vanessa's answers a little bit as well. Which kind of,
I remember you and I used words slightly differently. I didn't feel the need for that this time, only because I felt that Vanessa and I shared a lot of the same definitions for words in a way that was, though it's possible though that I missed it, and in which case I would love to be to flush out some of our definitions for words for next time. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think maybe for next time I'll grab just one question or section, and I'll just show an example of a question I could have asked to clarify one example that might have changed Vanessa's answer. But it's a testament to your survey that it kind of does flow a lot more smoothly if people aren't trying to like trim up the definitions all the time like Justin and I were. So that was.
Why did you start at the end and go up? Just out of curiosity.
So I normally start with number 1, like I normally did, but recently I've been experimenting with starting with number 19. I'm just testing something out for my own self personally. In the past, people felt disagreeable and didn't want to be strongly on one side or the other. And I found it useful when talking about when we change our minds, to start there first before we talk about what's true. What is the truth? How we consider something true? How we feel the truth is defined. And I feel that when we talk about ourselves in relation to how we change, that gets us talking more sincerely about the way our minds are imperfect models that can be mistaken. Number 24, it is possible that some of my beliefs are not true. And then that helps me to understand my conversation partner a little better from that frame of reference. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I just like to get their understanding about how they change about themselves, how they consider something. When is the right time to change? Starting there is a great way, I think, for me to understand somebody else and what they mean when they use the word true, or they want to change the definition. Because if they change the definition, it's about like how we feel about changing. That really helps me to feel like I can relate to what they're saying. Yeah, good question. Yeah, and now we've got Vanessa on board with some of the background knowledge there, and I had a lot of fun. Any questions for me before we're done today?
No, I think I'll learn as I go. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, oh, Shane, you made all these comments and I missed them all.
No. I was responding to other comments. It's not necessary to acknowledge them. It's fine.
Okay, great. Well, looking forward to it. Maybe we'll find another time next week to chat. And thanks a lot, y'all.
Yeah.
Let's shoot for
thanks,
that.
man.
Okay, God bless everyone.
Take care.
Have a great evening.
Bye, guys. Have a good evening.